When we're on site, we've got 5 types of steps that we might have depending on the job or the size of the vehicle. Steps platform 2 tread, steps platform 4 tread, steps platform 6 tread, steps combination 5 tread, and ladder step combination high reach number 1. Now, do the same precautions and safety checks apply to these as with the ones at the exchange?
Yeah, and even though they're made of aluminium, you've still got to carry out the 2 basic sets of checks. You've got visual inspection and a physical inspection of the structure. So when checking aluminium steps, it is actually advisable to wear gloves.
Okay.
We'll carry out a visual inspection to start with. A number of things that we need to look for. The overall appearance of the structure. Are there any signs of damage to the aluminium? And now that could have been caused accidentally, or it could have been caused through misuse. It could even be caused by taking the steps in and out of the back of the vehicle.
Right.
And just make sure that there are no shards of metal anywhere on the structure. Check the rivets, make sure there's no obvious signs of the rivets being loose. The same with any nuts and bolts that are holding components together. You'll notice at the top and at the bottom we've got rubber inserts.
Yeah.
Make sure they're all in place, all intact. And particularly with the ones at the bottom, make sure that they're clean.
Right.
A number of labels that we need to check. We've got the label here telling us not to use them in an exchange equipment room. And the side of the ladder, we've got the unique serial number which identifies that ladder.
Right. Okay. Well, these just look like the ones I've got at home.
Well, they do. The basic structure of this ladder is the same as one that you'd have at home, but you'll notice at the top here there is a blue label indicating that they are Class 1 industrial ladders. Right. They're actually made to a higher standard and a stronger standard than the ones you've got at home.
So if you haven't got this on, basically it's the wrong ladder.
So once we've completed the visual inspection, we now need to carry out a physical examination, and if you get hold of all of the metalwork, just give it a little rock just to make sure that it is firmly fixed to the structure. The same for each tread, the same for the bracing bars at the back. Make sure that they're all firmly fixed to the structure. And then we've got to look at the locking mechanism, because the locking mechanism is key to making sure that these steps are stable when you're climbing them. Right. And it's a twofold. There's the platform at the top, which has got to locking position, and there are the bracing bars at the side. So when we've taken the steps from the van, they'll be in the folded position.
Yep.
Extend them, and you'll notice that the platform hasn't fallen fully. Press that down, and then press both of the locking bars down and make sure that they stay in that position. Place the steps on a firm surface and make sure that they don't rock or wobble.
Right, okay. So when using them, they've got to be on a level plane anyway?
Yes.
Okay, Andy, just give us a brief description what we'd use these steps for.
Well, the 2-tread was initially brought out for kiosk work, but as you can see, it just gives you a little bit of extra height if it was needed for a job.
Okay.
The 4-tread, general purpose, carried in most engineering vehicles for use in and around the customer's premises. The 6-tread for casual use in and around the customer's premises, but you would need a larger vehicle to transport that to site.
Right, okay.
And the 5-tread, not a lot of people will have seen this, but it is a step ladder, or you can actually use it as a freestanding single-piece ladder.
Right, okay.
Now, to convert it from a step ladder to a single-piece ladder, you've got to release the knee bar, fold that down, make sure that the platform's free, pull out both of those locking pins until you hear them click. Lift the platform, the ladder comes up, and then the locking pins should spring into place. But have a little feel, just make sure that they are fully in place.
Okay.
And then that can be used as a freestanding ladder to access a loft or a suspended ceiling.
Okay, all right, so just...
to put it back down, pull out the locking pins. As you start to fold it down though, you've got to remember to put the platform back up.
Right, okay.
And then again, the locking pins will spring back in place, but just make sure that they've done that.
Okay.
Pull the knee bar back up, and there are 2 hooks here and here. Make sure that they're both fully engaged.
Okay. You got the knee bar on this one, like these?
All 4 of these have got a knee bar on. which gives you that little bit of extra stability and does actually allow work to take place on the platform with you standing on that platform.
Right, okay. And this one?
Well, this was brought out primarily to access suspended ceilings in supermarkets. Freestanding, but you must have the stabilisation bar at the back. To erect the ladder, release the rear section of the ladder and swing back. Lock each brace in position using the catches. Place the ladder stabiliser firmly on the floor and make sure that the rubber feet are secure. Insert the ends of the ladder stiles as shown, making sure that both locking nuts are tight. And finally, slide the ladder section to the desired height.
So the safe use of these ladders are the same as the Exchange?
Yeah, you'll have carried out a risk assessment before any climbing operation, and in some cases you may have even requested a local risk assessment. Once you've checked the steps over, you should carry the longer steps in the same way on your shoulder. Check the surface where you are positioning the steps. Make sure it is level, clean and firm. If necessary, use packing pieces to support the legs. And when you position them, always ensure that you can work comfortably and that the steps will remain stable during your work. Wherever practicable, try to work at right angles to the task rather than working to the side where they are less stable. You'll notice that one side of the steps are almost vertical, and this allows you to place them directly in front of where you'll be working. This means that you can simply climb straight up the steps and the work is facing you. Make sure the location is safe and avoid doorways, blind corners and pedestrian walkways, and if necessary, use guarding and signs where appropriate. And also make sure that if you are diverting pedestrians, that they are walking in a safe area. Before you go up, check for overhead obstructions that could cause a head injury. On occasions, the risk assessment may show that the job requires an assist, in which case you shouldn't hesitate to contact your line manager.
When climbing steps, what about carrying materials or equipment?
Well, whenever you descend or ascend a pair of steps, you must have one hand on the stile, and anything like hand tools, they must be carried in a belt's pocket. Anything larger, possibly a toolbox with a sash line, or it may be that you've actually got to tie the sash line to the individual item. What you must ensure is that whatever you're carrying, you don't overbalance yourself.
What about carrying particularly heavy materials?
Well, if the risk assessment has shown that the item is too heavy for one person, then a second person is required and they may need a second pair of steps.
Okay, Andy, thanks for that. Let's take a look at those key points again. Make sure you use the correct steps for the task. Wear the correct PPE. Check your equipment thoroughly before you use it. Always carry steps correctly. Check the ground where the step ladder will be positioned. Position the ladders in a safe place and use guarding and signs to warn pedestrians. Never carry heavy items up steps. Never leave tools or other items on the treads.